There's a specific kind of silence that creeps in right before your world starts to shift. It's not loud, not dramatic, just off. I felt it that morning. Haley was folding clothes on the bed, humming to a song that wasn't playing. Her suitcase lay open like a secret she hadn't figured out how to hide yet. "Didn't you say this was a work thing?" I asked, sipping my coffee from the doorway. She didn't look up, just rolled a silk cami into a neat little scroll and slid it next to a black mini dress. "Yeah," she said. "Annual team meetup, dinners, boring panels, networking drinks. All that fun." My eyes moved to the stilettos, shiny sky high, and definitely not business casual. "Strange conference," I muttered. She smirked. "It's still Chicago. I'm allowed to look good." "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "Just don't forget your badge this time." That made her laugh. She straightened and turned to me, walking over with that easy sway she had when she knew she was winning something. "You're cute when you're suspicious," she whispered, pecking my cheek. "Relax. I'll be gone 3 days. You can survive that, right?" "Barely," I said, wrapping my arms around her waist, more out of habit than heat. "Need a ride to the airport?" She shook her head. "Nope. Rideshare's cheaper. And you hate traffic." Another hole. She never cared about traffic. When I drove her to the airport, it was our thing. She always played DJ and sang terribly while I cursed at slow drivers. But this time, she wanted to go alone. Still smiling, she pulled away and zipped the suitcase. I watched as she grabbed her charger, slid on a gold watch, and checked the reflection one last time. My chest felt tight, but not from jealousy. It was that feeling you get when a glass is tipping, and you're just far enough away that you know you won't catch it. "Don't forget your charger this time," I said. "And the itinerary? You forgot to send it to me." "Oh, right," she said, eyes flashing too quickly. "They changed it last minute. I'll forward it from the hotel." She wouldn't. I knew that now. She kissed me once more. "Be good while I'm gone." I stood there, hands in my pockets, as the elevator doors closed behind her. That's when I opened our shared calendar. Gone. Her meetings, blocks, travel notes, all erased. Like she'd never planned to show anyone where she was going. That's when it hit me. The unease I'd been trying to ignore for months wasn't just paranoia. It was preparation. I sat down on my laptop, opened my browser, and typed Chicago one-way flights. Today. Pulled out my old backpack from the closet. Tossed in 2 black hoodies, my DSLR, and a portable charger. And just before I zipped it shut, I paused. My name's Nathan. 32, software engineer. I like systems. Patterns. I clean when I'm stressed, and I listen more than I talk. People call me calm, but it's not calm. It's calculation. I don't start fires. I just wait for the wind to shift. And right now, it's heading for Chicago. The airport buzzed with the usual early morning chaos. Wheels clattering against polished floors, flight announcements echoing overhead, travelers rushing with purpose or dawdling with vacation fatigue. I moved through like a ghost, unnoticed, unremarkable. Black hoodie pulled tight, cap tilted low, my backpack slung over one shoulder. Just another guy trying to catch a flight. Gate C12 flashed on the screen above, alongside Flight 237, destination Chicago, boarding soon. I scanned the crowd, looking for familiar faces, patterns, anything out of place. And then I saw them. Haley. Her smile was too bright, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Her arm looped through his. A tall man with sharp features, impeccably dressed. His expensive suit whispered a privilege, and the subtle cufflinks told their own story. Someone used to power, control, comfort. They moved together with ease, like a practice routine. Not just a stolen moment. This was rehearsed. He kissed her temple, low and possessive. She laughed softly, leaning in, whispering something only he could hear. I tightened my grip on my bag strap. I leaned slightly closer, trying to catch their words. "Are you sure this weekend will stay between us?" The man asked in a low voice. Haley smiled mischievously. "Don't worry. You're the only one I'm running away from this time." His chuckle was deep and confident. "Good. because I don't do messy situations. I swallowed hard. I wanted to yell, to storm over, but I stayed still. I reminded myself, patience. She thought this was just another weekend escape, a brief break from reality. But for me, this was where the real story started. I boarded last, slipping into the seat at the very back of the plane. Window side, hoodie still shielding my face, headphones resting around my neck, but silent, eyes locked on their row. 2 rows ahead, Haley in 14C. The man, Brandon or whatever, in 14B. She rested her head on his shoulder as the plane began its slow, powerful ascent. The city lights below faded, swallowed by darkness and clouds. My mind raced. Was it betrayal? Or just a long-buried truth finally surfacing? I pulled out my phone, zoomed in, and snapped a single photo. Not for the world. Not for social media. For me. To remind myself this wasn't all in my head. Suddenly, the man leaned back and caught my eye in the reflection of the window. A flicker of recognition passed. And then a smirk. I turned away. The hum of the engines was a strange comfort. Clouds drifted below like nothing had changed. But I knew better. Turbulence was coming, and I wasn't going down without a fight. I parked my car 2 blocks away from the glittering high-rise hotel downtown. Neon signs flickered, the city buzzed with life. But all I felt was the weight of the night pressing down on me. This wasn't just another evening. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. I watched through the tinted windows of a nearby cafe as Haley and the guy I'd learned was Brandon stepped out of a black cab, their hands intertwined. Brandon's confident grin, the way Haley laughed and leaned into him, it stung like poison, but I forced myself to stay calm. There'd be time for confrontation, just not yet. I pulled my phone from my pocket and quickly booked a room under a fake name. No need to rush and blind. I needed leverage. Something solid, undeniable. The concierge barely glanced up as I walked in, my voice smooth, and even as I gave my alias. Checking in for one night. Room 712, please. As I stepped into the lobby, the crystal chandeliers glinted above, but my eyes were locked on the revolving doors where Haley and Brandon appeared. My pulse quickened as I discreetly raised my phone and started recording. Haley flipped her hair, smiling in that way that used to be just for me. Brandon's hand settled possessively on her lower back. A waiter passed by, nodding politely at me. I nodded back, but didn't take my eyes off the couple as they headed to the elevator. Inside the cramped space, their shadows danced on the mirrored walls. Haley's lips met Brandon's in a soft, lingering kiss. I swallowed the lump in my throat, but didn't lower my phone. Every frame was a sharp reminder of the betrayal. Suddenly, Brandon glanced toward the elevator door, and I quickly lowered the phone, slipping it back into my pocket. No eye contact, no risk. Once the door slid shut, I whispered to myself, "Not yet. The final act is coming." Outside the elevator, I approached the front desk again under the pretense of asking for directions. The manager, an older woman with sharp eyes, glanced at me suspiciously. "Can I help you, sir?" "Just looking for the spa. Thought about treating myself after a long day," I said with a thin smile. "Maybe I'll see some interesting company while I'm at it." The manager raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I knew better than to push. Back in my room, I connected the footage to a burner email I created weeks ago, sending the incriminating video to an account only I could access. As I sat on the edge of the bed, I stared at the screen, the city lights painting streaks of color across the walls. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Everything set, ready when you are. My lips curled into a cold smile. This isn't just revenge, it's a reckoning. I waited, patiently. Every tick of the clock felt like a drumbeat, leading to the moment I'd been planning for weeks. The rooftop restaurant was buzzing with soft chatter and clinking glasses, the city lights glowing like stars beneath us. From my seat hidden near the entrance, I spotted them immediately. Haley, radiant in a sleek black dress, her smile just a little too rehearsed. Brandon, sharp in his suit, trying hard to keep his cool. The way he looked at her made my stomach twist. But this wasn't just about them, it was about justice. The waiter approached their table with a tray, but Brandon wasn't looking at the food. He took a deep breath, then dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. "Haley," he said, voice steady but loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Will you marry me?" The gasp from Haley was instant and loud. She covered her mouth, eyes wide. The whole rooftop seemed to hold its breath. She nodded. "Yes," she whispered, voice shaking but certain. Applause erupted. People stood, some wiping tears, others cheering. Brandon's smile stretched wide, mission accomplished. As he slid the ring onto her finger, I could feel my heart pounding. The moment should have been perfect for them, but it wasn't. Suddenly, a waiter wheeled over a tablet on a small cart, breaking the spell. The screen flickered on, glowing in the twilight. No sound, just images. First, the airport. Haley and Brandon, close, laughing, whispering. Then the hotel lobby, their hands brushing, fingers intertwined. Finally, the elevator, the kiss, soft, lingering, unmistakable. The rooftop fell silent. Eyes darted around. Whispers swelled like a rising tide. Brandon's smile faltered. He glanced around, searching for the source. What is this?" he asked, voice cracking. Haley's face went pale. She looked at Brandon, then at the screen, panic flashing in her eyes. Someone near the bar muttered, "Is that them? Is that Haley?" Haley stood abruptly. "Turn it off," she hissed, her voice trembling. The waiter hesitated but shook his head. The video continued to loop silently. Brandon took a step back, jaw tight. He looked toward the manager, who just raised her hands, helpless. From my corner, I heard a guest whisper, "Looks like someone's got secrets." I stayed put, letting the tension rise. Finally, Brandon turned to Haley, voice low but furious. "What the hell is going on?" Haley's eyes darted to me, though she didn't know it was me. I don't know," she stammered, sweat beading on her forehead. A guest near me leaned in and said, "You should have been honest from the start." I smiled to myself. I'd sent the footage anonymously, just enough to ruin their moment, just enough to make everyone ask, "Who's watching?" And trust me, the real answer was waiting in the shadows. I got home before them. The apartment was suffocatingly silent, like it was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to hit. I didn't want to be there when they walked through that door, not after everything. I needed space, a moment to breathe, to process what was coming next. So I packed, not out of anger or spite, but with a strange kind of calm. Haley's things went into boxes, her worn-out sneakers, the dress she wore on our first date, the stack of magazines she'd never finished. I folded everything carefully, like I was preserving a memory I was ready to let go of. No sudden movements, no rage-fueled throwing things around. Just silence, order, and quiet. On top of the last box, I placed a note, short, simple, enough to say what words couldn't. "Hope your trip was everything you wanted." I took one too, to freedom. I didn't expect her to read it right away. Maybe never. But it was mine to leave, a closing chapter written without bitterness, just finality. Later that week, word got back to me. Brandon had ended things. No fights, no messy breakups plastered across social media. Just a phone call, a decision made in quiet desperation. Haley moved out of the city, disappeared into somewhere far away, maybe to start fresh, or maybe just to run. I didn't feel victorious. No triumph in watching them fall apart. The pain I felt wasn't for show. It was real. But revenge had never been my goal. I wanted truth, clarity, and in the end, peace. I deleted the footage. Every clip, every frame, every grain of betrayal, gone. Burned from my devices like a bad dream I was ready to forget. No threats, no courtroom battles, no need for the world to see this chapter. This was my reckoning, quiet and clean. Some goodbyes don't need shouting. Some goodbyes don't even need words. Sometimes they only need evidence and a flight itinerary. As I sat in the empty apartment, the walls echoing with memories, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was over. I was free. And for the first time in months, I let myself breathe again.